Hey guys, it's Dementas here, and through this nice scenario I was hoping to record a video and make it easy for you to suffer through me rambling. And as you already know, the topic is going to be about addiction to vehicle modifications. Of course, everything I'm going to talk about is going to be from my perspective, because I haven't really seen this topic discussed in the relevant spaces, but I truly think that I might be suffering from this disease. So what causes it? When I was young, I thought about addiction in terms of being addicted to substances like smoking or drinking. I was that innocent, but now as I'm more knowledgeable, I know that addicting things can be much more wide-ranged, so to say. And for me, at least from my perspective, I think that this vehicle upgrades and modifications can be, and for me is, the addictive part of my life. One of the parts, of course. So why is that happening for me? Well, they say that these vehicle projects are never actually truly done. Why is that? Well, somebody can say, because you do not have infinite amount of resources, right? Day to day, monthly, you get salary, you have some budget you spend on your vehicle, and you cannot, unless you are like filthy rich, cannot spend like up to 50% of the price of your vehicle purchasing extra junk, if you are married especially, and installing it at once, because this is going to subtract a significant amount of funds from your family's other needs, and it won't be a nice picture, pretty picture. It is a no-go. So all of us mortals, we have finite budgets, and we have to prioritize, like select things that we think are going to give us the biggest benefits for the thing we intend to do, and spend money in that part first, and then gradually building up our dream vehicle. And in most of the cases, at least for mine, I have not a very high resolution, but quite still vague, but still some kind of picture in my head of what my finalized product would look like, what will be the end result for the GX, how it will look. And I can honestly say that I have reached that vague picture and even exceeded to it at some point, like last month. I have pretty much installed everything I was planning. Well, there are some things I want to install as well. One of them is going to be a skid plate from the transfer case skid, and I will explain in a different video why. Hopefully you know that I have the first skid plate I installed was the fuel tank skid plate, which I will also talk about in a different video about skid plates, that is. So yeah, but the thing is that this first reason of funding and spreading the expenses gives birth to second situation, which in my opinion is this nasty thing that causes me to be addicted to it. The thing is that the vehicle is quite complex thing, right? It has much more limited space than your house has, which in most cases, unless you are really having this man cave kind of scenario where you have your own room where you keep your tools, maybe entertainment stuff for the buddies you might have for your family, and upgrading that things. Vehicle, most of the time, at least for me, is the initial part and initial thing that becomes a project for us, for me at least. Again talking from my perspective, or people who have the similar perspective. That's why I'm using V. The vehicle is going to be the initial thing that turns into a project, and for all projects we have this subconscious budget attached to it. And due to the fact that most of the time the price for the modification of the vehicle is going to be quite expensive for ordinary people, for for 4 months, 6 months can be a decent period of time where you will be spending your hard-earned cash in order to purchase all the modifications. For me, it was 1 year. Before my vehicle came and after my vehicle was already here, I have spent about an year purchasing different things and adding them to my vehicle later on. So in that year, I have built in subconsciously that I have, after my payments to my loans and other expenses, I had like $200 worth of a budget for the vehicle per month. So once these significant things that I initially wanted to add to my vehicle expired, I never transitioned to the normal life where I have had no expense to allocated to the vehicle. I'm not talking about, of course, the maintenance expenses or fuel expenses, which are taken for granted, right? I'm talking about the expense for the vehicle for the purposes of modifying it, adding things to it. So I initially, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, when I had $200, I was thinking like this, I have a light bar here and I have a fuel tank skid plate here, which is more important to buy. I cannot afford myself to spend $200 on a light bar, whereas have my fuel tank, like 2/3 of it being exposed, the plastic part being exposed to the sharp rocks I might be conquering later on the year. So that's why I purchased the fuel tank skid plate first. But the next month, now I have already purchased this fuel tank skid plate. So if the fuel tank skid plate had quite a high end of benefit, which is not quantifiable, and the expense was $200, well, it was $300, but you know what I'm talking about. Now this fuel tank skid plate is gone. Now in the line, next thing is a light bar. I'm looking at this light bar and I found a really cheap one on Temu for like $50, which will of course not be as good as decent brands, but these decent brands are going to be like 15 times more expensive. It's a bargain. Let's go and buy it. Now I buy this light bar. Now the next month comes. Now I see some extra for the initial me last year, extra useless thing. But for me now, where I have all the extra stuff, now it becomes useful thing. I have this $200 per month that I have to spend somewhere, and as all the useful list I initially thought were useful is now exhausted, now the plan B's become attractive, and now I purchase plan B's. So I do think that this situation where I initially set this budget subconsciously for my vehicle, bought pretty much everything I wanted, and got to the place I am right now, I never recalibrated my budget for the vehicle. I never did. So now every single month I look at this $200 and say, it's a nice $200 which I can spend on my vehicle, man. And as you know, in this world of off-roading, overlanding, there are like bajillions of different things you can get. Again, vehicle is quite limited in terms of space, but there are many different complex things about the vehicle on which you can upgrade stuff. That's why it can be really challenging to get rid of this urge of I want to spend this $200 on my vehicle. Alright, so that's the explanation, at least from my part, of what is fueling this addiction. Unfortunately for me, I do not have a solution or a cure for it. What can be a cure for it? It can be hard to unpack and understand, and the thing is that as the time goes on, the things on your vehicle might get damaged or broken. You might find other better bargains which will give you a better solution for your problems, and you might even spend money and things that you have already purchased, but now you're looking this extra thing which gives you like $50 extra of benefit, and you spent $250 on that in order to replace $200 worth of light bar, for example. The exact thing happened for me. Initially I spent like $30, which is dirt cheap, on my nice looking thin light bar which I have installed in front on my roof rack. And then I thought, this light bar isn't really giving me any kind of illumination that is worth really having a light bar. So if I have it, let's at least, if I have the noise of it, I wanted to say, let's at least install something that can be more substantial. So I purchased a much larger light bar you can see on my build right now. And for a stupid reason, completely by accident, the gap between the legs for that light bar was much larger than the cheaper one. So I get rid of the noise and get much better illumination. But now I had this old used light bar that I was like considering throwing away. But then it came to my mind, you know what? My awning, which is installed in the rear, allows me to add something on it. So let's install it in that place. And to be honest, the light bar on the rear is one of the best modifications I have done, and probably and certainly the best modification in terms of the illumination upgrade. Yeah, maybe it is second best to the internal upgrades of the LED lights I did for my internal lighting for the GX. But in terms of exterior, they are number one, the best investments you can put your money in if you want to have confidence in reversing at night, especially on the trails, right? So yeah, that was the example I wanted to give you. So you have two problems. You will never run out of ideas you want to spend your money in, and also there will be the same things, same upgrades that you have already installed, but the better ones that will come on the marketplace, and you will also have an urge to upgrade these upgrades. So that's the problem, and yeah, unfortunately, I do not have a solution to it. I think that the biggest part of the solution is, I have heard somewhere, the biggest step towards solving the problem is the acknowledging that the problem exists. So I do really think that consciously knowing that this is an addiction and you can get addicted to it, can solve or at least dampen this addiction. At least it is doing for me, when I can consciously tell myself, you know what, this is not worth it. You have, for some crappy human-like reasonings, reevaluated your benefits and expenses, whereas these $200 can be spent on much better things in your life, maybe putting it away as a saving. It's not necessary for you, you will not use it, and so on and so forth. The vehicle you have is already like leaps and bounds above anything that you will need on your trail and on your everyday life. So yeah, I think that's the explanation I can give you, and that's the solution that I can offer you. I can tell you how effective it is. I cannot evaluate it only on myself, of course, but tell me down in the comment section, what do you think? Do you have the similar situation? Do you feel like you have the similar situation or not? That's all. Have a nice day, and bye-bye.